Hi, my name is Jonathan Sajays, and I'm going to be talking about the case of Ralph Tortorici versus the state and the competency to stand trial. On the morning of December 14th, 1994, Ralph Tortorici, a 26-year-old student who attended the University of New York in Albany, walked into his classroom armed with a hunting knife and a Remington rifle. Ralph took the students hostage while demanding to speak to the president and threatening to kill the students if his demands were not met. The hostage situation lasted about 3 hours until some students took action trying to disarm Tortorici. During the struggle, the gun had discharged to one of the students, leaving him sterile from a shot to the scrotum, and the other with just superficial knife wounds. Ralph was arrested and charged with kidnapping, aggravated assault, and attempted murder. Tortorici had a troublesome past. He was born in 1968 with hypospadias, a congenital deformity of the urethra results in an opening at the base rather than the tip of his penis. The condition embarrassed Tortorici as a child and may have been contributing factors to his mental illness later in life. The failed attempts of 3 separate surgeries to correct the problem also played a role in his psychiatric symptoms. Tortorici claimed that the government had put a listening device in his penis and that they had been controlling his actions through a microchip implanted in his brain. So, psychiatric treatment was given to Ralph but ultimately failed to help with his paranoid schizophrenia. While attending the University of New York, Ralph was a psychology major and maintained a B grade point average. During his college career, the delusions continued and he was referred by the nurse to the psychiatric hospital for help. The treatment, however, was unsuccessful. One more incident of Ralph's delusions led him to the police station, where then he confessed of having voices in his head urging him to molest little girls. Once more, he was admitted to the psychiatric hospital, where all attempts of treatment failed. Okay, so the following day after Tortorici's crimes, 2 psychiatric examiners found him incompetent to stand trial, since he was unable to understand the charges that were held against him and unable to assist in his own defense. While hospitalized at Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center, Tortorici did receive counseling but refused any medication that was offered to him. During his stay, he was described as rational, logical, cooperative during his interviews. They also stated that he was found to have satisfactory knowledge of the courtroom procedures and the court officials. On March 20th, 1995, he was returned to the court as competent to stand trial. Tortorici was once more examined by a doctor named Lawrence Siegel. After his evaluations, Ralph was said to not be fit to stand trial. The defense attorney and the state both requested that they will proceed with the hearing with the decision that Tortorici was in fact competent to stand trial. The prosecution urged that Tortorici was in fact mentally ill, but does not meet the requirements by the state to receive a plea of insanity at the time of the crime. After deliberation by the jury, they denied his plea of insanity and found Ralph Tortorici guilty. He was sentenced to the state max of 20 to 47 years. The case was brought to the appellate court to be appealed of the competency of the defendant of the examination done by Dr. Siegel that stated that Tortorici was incompetent to stand trial. The court affirmed the previous conviction. Since Ralph did not receive proper treatment for his mental illness in prison, this led him to take his own life by hanging himself in his cell. In this case, the criminal justice system standards of determining if a defendant is competent to stand trial are far too low to be completely effective. Even though Ralph was deemed competent to stand trial in 1995, there is a chance that he was incompetent by the time they proceeded in the trial due to his delusions. Also, he was examined in 1995 as competent, but that doesn't mean he will still be the same competency level in 1996 when the trial continued. Lastly, if the prosecution would have accepted a plea of insanity that the defense was offering, there would be no trial. This would mean that Tortorici would have gotten the help he needed in a secure mental facility, instead of taking his own life in a prison cell.